Hey, I'm Michael Dorinda,
And I'm Jake Bennett.
and welcome to episode 177 of the North Meet South web podcast.
Nailed it. Got it. Nice work. All right. From now
Perfection.
on, we have it. Is that on Riverside or are you playing that through your special controller?
No, that's coming through the Roadcaster.
Okay. Yep.
Yep, so
I'm
it's
glad you're
all
using
one
it.
channel for you.
It is. It sounds great. Yeah, I'm loving it.
Excellent,
Sounds really
excellent.
nice. Nice job. Hey, boy, I've got a lot of stuff written down to talk about. Before our
You
show
do.
started, I was like, "Oh man, what are we going to talk about?" And then I had a bunch of things to talk about. I think this little power nap helped me out. I was dude, it has been a busy last couple days. And so
Mhm.
my son was like, "Dad, will you sit with me?" Because he really likes it when I sit with him. And I have not been able to sit with him the last couple nights. And so tonight I was like, "Yeah, I'll sit with you for a few minutes." Immediately fell asleep. Just lights out, man. Lights out. And so I woke up and it was like 10:03 and I'm like, "Oh man, we gotta get podcast in here." So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
anyway.
the same with me and Eli. Like I will do his bedtime every night. So I read and I sing, and
Hmm.
then after that, lately he's like, Dad, stay with me for a bit. So I will stay until Ree comes in because she'll put Liv down. And yeah, it's just between when I finish singing and when Ree comes in, I don't know what happens, but I'm usually being jabbed in the leg to wake up.
That's hilarious. Yeah, man. I mean, it's like, hey, could be worse. I'm thankful that he still wants to sit with me. So it's like, some
Yeah.
nights it's like, oh, like, do I have to do this? And it's like, but then I'm
Hmm.
remembering like, yeah, this is not the case for any of my kids anymore. Nobody's asking me to sit with them, so I'm just gonna enjoy it and take it,
Hmm.
take it
Hmm.
where I can get it, sort of deal. So anyway, yeah, it's
That's
good.
right.
It's good. Well, let's jump in real quick to liquid glass. Have you seen Apple's new design thing that they've come out with? Have you seen this?
I don't know. Look, the reason I own an iPhone is because Apple is like a multi-trillion dollar company with all of these
Yep.
designers,
Yep.
and I just want them to design me the interface, and then that's the interface. I don't want to customize it. I don't want a widget. I don't
Yeah.
want different size
Okay.
icons. I
Okay.
don't want different color. You design it and I'll use it. And if I don't like it, and this is the thing, oh, why can't we customize our phones? You totally can. Go and customize your Android. Leave the iPhone alone.
Absolutely. Dude, you know
I
what?
didn't get the
I
iPhone
can
because it was customizable. I got it
I
because
can
it looked good as it was.
I can appreciate that perspective. Actually, I really can. And it's you sound like my dad back when I was growing up and we had a Windows XP computer. And anytime I would change anything, he would get so mad. He's like, "Do not change the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Do not
Yeah.
change the
Yeah.
cursor. Do not change
Yeah.
the icons. Just leave it the same." And
Just
we've
leave it.
arrived at that
Yeah.
point. We've arrived at that point as senior gentlemen that we were like, you know
Mm.
what? I just like my iPhone as it is. I don't need the dark
Yeah.
mode icons. I don't need the large icons with no text. Although I have both of those turned on. Don't need them. I don't need
Yeah.
them. So no, I can get that perspective. I will say though, like it's I don't know, it looks cool. Some of the stuff they have looks cool. I do actually wonder with some of it, but which by the way, folks, if you haven't gotten a chance to look at it, this is like a new design aesthetic that they're sort of carrying across all of their different products. So from the TV to your MacBook to your iPad
Mhm.
to your phone to your watch, they're implementing this new design aesthetic, I guess is what I could call it. Liquid glass is the idea, and they're wanting to focus more on content. And so they want the controls to sort of get out of the way, as it were.
Mm.
And to that end, they've made the controls more transparent, I suppose. At the bottom of your apps, normally you'll have a bar, like an action bar that you can do things on. And what they've done is they've decided to make those contextual almost. So you can think of like Dynamic Island at the top, how it sort of changes
Mhm.
based on what live activities you have going on and things like that. Well, that section at the bottom sort of changes contextually based on where you're at in the app. If you're scrolling and you're at the bottom, it's going to be different than if you're coming back up to the top and it's whatever. And then it's transparent. It's not like a hard
Yeah.
line color.
No, it's
It's
frosted
a
glass, basically.
frosted glass. Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
And some of the effects that they have moving between things is really interesting. So I don't know. It's okay. I'm wondering, like, accessibility wise, the contrast didn't seem that high. It seemed
Yeah.
like for people who need higher contrast, even for just normal people who don't need higher
Yeah.
contrast, it seemed awfully close. So anyway, I don't know. We'll see. I always love to kind of play with the new designs and take a look at
Mm.
those. But
I don't know. Whatever it looks like out of the box is exactly how I'm going to leave it. I'm definitely not going to customize my message backgrounds. Like I can look at the icon and I know who I'm talking to. I don't need a wacky colored background. I don't need any of this stuff. Like the frosted glass is nice in things like in application where it's like the music app and the controls are, yeah, okay, that's fine because it allows them to present the cover art more, but it's not, you're not showing more of the background of the home screen because you've got all of these frosted glass elements because it's all blurred anyway. So
yeah,
I don't know, it's
yeah.
whatever. Like I get it, but whatever the default is, however the icons look when I install iOS 26 now, because they've decided to number these things based on the year that they're released ahead of rather than, you know,
Ah, interesting. Okay.
sequential numbers. So obviously
Kind of
this will
like
come out in
with like
September because it
vehicles.
comes out in
Yeah.
September. Yeah, like cars, it's coming out in September. There's no point calling it iOS 25 because 25 is almost over. So this is
Right.
iOS, which I
26.
get that, whatever. Totally fine. But yeah, however it looks out of the box is exactly how I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to look for it. Like I've created one Genmoji. I'm like, okay, that was fun.
I
So
know. I'm with you on that. Like
I
I've
think
created
I
a
think
couple,
that
not many.
I think the interesting perspective is that I didn't see that because this happened at 3 a.m. So whatever has crossed my
Sure.
timeline in Twitter is all I've seen. But um, I think the interesting perspective is that they just didn't talk about Siri or Apple Intelligence at all. And
Hmm.
everyone's obviously the sky is falling at Apple. They're so far behind on AI they can't. It's like I don't know. They don't have to talk about it. They haven't delivered on the stuff that they promised last year, really. So why would they bring that up? I also don't think like they're sticking their heads in the sand a little bit as well. So,
Yeah.
but who knows? Like it's a multi-trillion-dollar company. Clearly, AI is, and I don't know how much of it is tech bubble stuff. We're obviously on the bleeding edge of AI. As developers and people that are using this stuff, I don't know. Like, I don't talk to anyone outside of tech really that even acknowledges AI as a thing. It's not. I get that there are productivity gains and there are things to be said for that. Like there are certainly consumer focused applications of AI that are out there. Um, but I think a lot of it, OpenAI, all of this chat GPT stuff, all of the like Claude and Cursor, these are all developer focused tools.
Yeah.
I feel like AI from a consumer perspective is kind of being rammed down people's throats. You go to Google and it's no longer Google search results, it's Gemini, the AI stuff at the top of the
Yeah.
Google search results. So like people are not seeking this out. It's Google saying, this is how we're going to deliver search results to you now. So I don't I don't know. Like, yes, there are certainly applications of it that people would find useful. I just don't know how broad that is.
Well, I feel like the applications that they would find useful have been integrated. So, this is like
Mm.
sort of Apple's thing where it's like when near field communication stuff like NFC stuff first came out, Android, all the phones were like, "Oh, now shipping with NFC." And it was like, what are we supposed to do with this? Like it's a useful sort of like headline, I suppose, but there was nothing actually useful that you could do with it, right? It was like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
get a tag, and like when you walk in your home, you can tap your phone to that tag and it will activate smart home things, or it's like, or you could just talk to your Siri or whatever. And it's just,
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
it was just, it seemed gimmicky, right?
Mhm.
And so Apple doesn't ever seem really satisfied to just take the technology at face value and just push it out there like a very unrefined raw version of it.
Mhm.
Instead, they integrate it into a product like Genmoji or like some of the playground stuff that they've done where you can take photos and use them as reference images and sort of add on
Mhm.
additional things. They've done that. So they've
Yeah.
pulled that in. They've made it consumer facing. They've done things where you can highlight the text and have it rewrite it for you. Hey, I want this to sound more professional. Hey, I want this to sound
Mhm.
more whatever. You can do all that stuff. So the practical applications of it I think have been delivered on. I don't really know that there's a whole lot else. But I will say too that it's not like they're disallowing like chat gpt from your phone.
Yeah.
Like I have that on my phone, and also if I tell it to ask chat gpt, it will. So
Yeah.
they have like a
Yeah.
first party, I don't know if it's first party, but they have an integration with it. So it's like if I want that type of answer, I
Yeah.
could just have it ask it. And
You
so
can connect to
I
your
don't know,
account. You
like
can do all that kind of stuff.
totally. I'm not so
So
worried about it. Like I feel like I can
yeah.
get everything that I need to get without a whole bunch
Hmm.
of messing around. I think it's pretty good. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah. I
Um,
think when the time comes, and there was like a research paper that came out over the weekend, I think, or end of last week, from some researchers at Apple that basically said what we have now is peak AI, and like the approach is fundamentally flawed. Like not flawed. It is fun. There is a ceiling that we
mhm.
just won't get past with the approach that we're taking now, because it's just mimicry and like guessing based on what it already knows. It's not um it's not able to infer stuff or create stuff or do stuff from scratch. If AGI is the goal, for better or worse, then the way that all of the known or all of the current stuff that is public um, is being done is not going to get us there. So, like, who's to say that Apple is not working on whatever the next thing is? When the
Yeah.
iPhone first launched, Google was making the next BlackBerry. They were not even thinking. Now, it might be OpenAI or it might be whoever else that comes up with whatever the next thing is. It might not be Apple. Apple has always been like a hardware company that tied all of the hardware together with software. I think that whatever the next evolution is, maybe Apple's working on that, maybe Google's working on that. All of this stuff that's happening. I think for consumers, everyone was looking. Like I said, Google was making the next BlackBerry, and they were 12 months behind the ball when Apple came out with like this piece of glass, this single pane of glass on the iPhone. It was like, oh, we've been thinking about this all wrong, because we've been thinking about how do we improve what we have, not what do people want next, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think too, it's like, Apple doesn't ever seem to be the pioneer in the particular technology. They seem to be like the
very
perfecters
rarely,
of it
yeah,
though.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, just, I mean, we talked about NFC, right? But there's a lot of
yeah, NFC,
other
yeah,
things like that where it's like, contactless payments. Well, everybody
yeah,
had it, but nobody actually adopted it until Apple was like,
mm,
nope, we're going to actually roll this
yeah,
thing out
yeah,
properly. And now
yeah,
everybody's going to have it, and everybody has it now. And so it, I don't think they typically are the first ones to enter space. They really want to make sure they nail it when they do. So I was
mm,
reading an article recently called, I think it was some like AI and the horseless carriage. And it was this idea that when they first came up with the automobile, they didn't call it the automobile. They called it the horseless carriage because all they
mm,
had previous to that was carriages with horses pulling them.
yeah,
And so they were still in this mode of, oh, it's a carriage. It's just a carriage without a horse. It's a horseless carriage. That was how it was
hmm,
advertised. And you still had the person sitting on the outside of this thing,
yeah,
like out on the
yeah,
front, like as if there would be
hmm,
a horse there. Not really. So it's just like you had this bizarre, like, they didn't know yet how to utilize the technology. They just sort of took the horse away and that was it, right? And
mm,
we're seeing sort
mm,
of the
mm,
inverse of that, where it's like we've got these applications that have existed for forever, and now we're just sprinkling AI on top of everything. And the
yeah,
idea was
yeah,
like, no, no, no. We need a reinvention of these applications. This is not
right,
email with AI on top. It's an AI enabled, like it's AI first
hmm,
inbox.
hmm,
Like every piece
hmm,
that comes in is going to first be analyzed by, and then we're going to use the intelligence to only
yeah,
deliver to you the things that you need. And we're going to draft a response for you using a prompt that you provided that has context about you and your life and your tone of voice, right?
hmm,
That's what you need. That is the
hmm,
next generation application. It's not a horseless
yeah,
carriage, it's an automobile, right? And
yeah,
so
yeah.
that was kind of the idea of the article. And I think that's hopefully that's where Apple's headed. And hopefully that's what they're thinking about too. So
I also think interesting from a consumer perspective, like us as developers, engineers, whatever you want to call our cohort of people. Like, yeah, we will be early adopters for this stuff, but we're also generally in a position financially to pay for this stuff. And like some people are
mm,
spending hundreds of dollars a month on licenses, not licenses, subscriptions and tokens
yeah,
and what have you. Like the average consumer, especially, with the price of housing and the cost of living and all of that kind of stuff, I assume it's fairly similar in the US for large portions of the population. But like in Australia, people are not going to be spending $200 a month for, GPT credits or Claude
right.
credits or whatever else, because
Yeah.
these are there's a large percentage of the population that like can't afford groceries week to week, you know? So the economies of scale have to kick in before any of that stuff is viable anyway. So
Yeah, and I mean these things aren't free either. Like these
no. Yeah, the compute,
these
the
cycles that you're running,
electricity, all of this
it's not
stuff. Yeah.
insignificant. Yeah, they're
No.
running you're running on VC bucks right now. Everything
Right.
is.
Yeah.
But it
Look
can't
how much
be
money
sustained
like
forever.
yeah, like look how much money Tesla has put into building out, their compute clusters. Look how much money OpenAI is spending, how much money Microsoft is investing in Azure and building all these data centers and like this is not infinitely scalable
Right.
with current technology in terms of power production and the power consumption. It's there is a limit to what can be done with the current approach. And things are getting faster and things are certainly getting more economical, but I think there is still a ceiling. We can't keep, churning through water and electricity and whatever else to power all of these things. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. Well, that didn't go the way I was thinking it would, but it was still a very interesting discussion anyway. Thank you
Yeah.
for the insights on that. I love
That's all
that.
right.
Okay, so I have a couple items here. I have a few things that I'm just wanting to talk about as like do you think this is interesting, or I thought they were interesting, maybe
Mm,
you will too.
mm,
And then I had maybe a scenario to share and or a interesting question for where you would store particular values if you were wanting to generate pages that were sort of static. Where should we store that
hmm
data? So I'll save that one towards the end. But we've been working recently on our website for our job application page. Basically, like who we are as a company, and if you want to come work with us, what our values are, what our culture is, what jobs are available, etc. Right? Previous to this iteration, it was just a job board. Basically, here are the
hmm
jobs we have
hmm
available. You like it or you don't, go click and apply. Right? And now we've sort of morphed it into who are we as a company? What are our values? What is our culture? Where are we at? What are our locations? How do you get here? What can you expect in an interview? Just a lot more content, right? And so to that end, we've got a new designer on the team and he's killing it, doing a great job. But it's basically pushed me back into this role that I really enjoy, but don't really get a lot of time to spend on, which is just designing things or coming up
hmm
with ideas for things that I think would be interesting. And so I've been gathering some inspiration from a couple places around, and one place that I found that I thought was really really good is kit.com. So if you go to kit.com/features, this is what used to be ConvertKit, right? They changed over to just Kit. So kit.com/features is really cool. And one of the things that I really loved on their page is their use of video. Now, video is not new at all. We've been using video on the web for a long time. However, I feel like the video format that we typically see on the web is quite static. It's typically a 16:9 window. It's got a big play button in it, and you play the video or you don't. Right? And most of the time, you don't. I mean, like, unless you're going
No.
to somebody's page to see something like that, like that's typically how videos are shown on web pages these days, is that, hey, it's a video that we've put together for you to view, it's a minute long, whatever, click and see. Maybe not.
Mm.
Or you might have like video backgrounds, which are pretty cool. There's some novel uses of video where like you scroll the page and it advances. They're using MP4s instead of like a GIF or something like that, and sort of because it's more efficient, maybe they're advancing as you scroll the page. Maybe you've seen some of that. So those are kind of cool, but whatever. The thing I really like about what Kit has done is instead of using that 16:9 format, they've done more like a square format. So if I was to,
Mm.
they have like a employee testimonial on the page. So it's a stripe across the page, and on the left-hand side, they have like a square or maybe a little bit taller than wide. So maybe it's rectangular, just a little bit taller than mine.
Yeah,
But
slightly.
it's where you would normally see like an avatar, right? You'd
hmm
think like, okay, I have a testimonial on the right. I'm gonna have like a circle avatar, or I'm gonna have like some sort of like, squarish sort of avatar there. But it's not, it's a video,
Yeah.
which is really cool. And it's auto playing, but with no audio, right? And so what it does is it just has like the first 5-6 seconds of the video playing there for you, sort of like what you would have if you're on YouTube and you mouse over a short. It starts to play that first 5-6 seconds of the clip, and then it repeats. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And then if you
Yeah, it
want to
kind of makes
watch
it a
that, if
GIF
that
that
piques
bounces.
your
Yeah.
interest, yes, then you can click on it. And so what it has is it has this really neat little icon at the top, which is this black circle that has audio, and you hover over and it says click
Mm-hmm.
for sound. You click it and
Mm-hmm.
it will begin to play. And then if you click it again, it will pause it with a big pause button. And if you click it again, it'll play, right? So all the sort of considerations that you'd make for how do I expose the idea that this is a playable thing to them without putting a big play button on it are
Yeah.
available. It's moving. So it's like intuitive. Oh, this is a video I can play. Very cool. And then things that are difficult to do with it on mobile are also considered. So I was like, this is a really great pattern. I love this idea of
Mm-hmm.
using video in a different format. It's unique. Um it's like really tasteful. It's done really well, and it feels like the right place and the right way to use it. However, we tried to make something like this on our own. It's near impossible to come up with, nobody has embeds for this stuff other than like a 16,
Yeah.
you're going to use YouTube, not working. It's not going to work. You're going to use Vimeo, you can't do it.
Mm.
Like, so you either have to roll your own, which is a pain in the butt because using those different aspect ratios, where you're going to host it, then you're going to have to do your own video tag. It's a pain in the neck. And then you have to do the click to do, you have to do the
Yeah.
autoplay.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
mess. So what I found out is that kit.com uses Wistia, which I had never heard of
Mm-hmm.
before, but it is a video hosting platform where they allow you to do all these things: custom
Mm-hmm.
embed sizes, this click to play audio thing. It's a thing. They just already have it, and then
Yeah.
they also have, I think it's called like Tesseract or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it's essentially how they deliver the video to devices, right? How
Yep.
they really are. They're insanely obsessed with efficiently delivering these experiences to users in a very low bandwidth way. And so they've got not only their first version, they've got their second version out, which was even faster. And so it's something like 90% faster or something than YouTube or
Hmm.
Vimeo's embeds. Really lightweight, really good stuff. And so we've been using them. I was like, screw it, switch out all of our videos that even use YouTube or Vimeo for embeds and put this in there instead. I've been so pleased. It is really good, and their embeds are awesome. I think it's like $12 a month we're paying. Totally worth it. And
Mm-hmm.
just super impressed. So huge shout out to kit.com because their stuff looks great. And I'd be lying if I didn't say we're essentially just ripping off some of those ideas in some of our in some of our testimonial stuff. I'm like, why
Yeah.
reinvent this? This looks so good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of go with this. But Wistia.com has been really cool. So definitely check
Nice.
that out. If you're looking for something novel like that, I just thought it was really cool.
Hmm. Very interesting. Yeah, it's always interesting to look at these video delivery tools, platforms, whatever it is, and like fairly reasonably priced in terms of,
Yeah, totally.
um, the free plan is 200 gig of bandwidth and, um, what is it, 10, I guess 10 files.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Mm-hmm.
what they're saying here? So,
Yep.
if you're just getting started with something, you're probably not going to serve a great deal of content. And I assume that they're doing all the transcode and things like that as well. So they're delivering
They handle
optimized
everything.
media and yeah. So
Everything. Yep.
that's really cool. Professional
It is.
hosting, no code replacement, video SEO, video chaptering using AI. There you go. Video creation, like a whole heap of different stuff. So if you're looking
Yep.
for video stuff and you're not Aaron Francis and you don't want to go out and build your own thing that serves video off of Cloudflare,
Yeah.
then yeah, maybe consider this. So
Totally.
there's like having worked in the space a while ago now, all of this stuff exists now that didn't really exist back then, which is why we built a platform to do it all. There's just so much involved in terms of transcode and then videos, and then devices become problematic because if you think you're testing on like your Chrome device, but you don't have access to all of the different Android devices, and all the different Android and Google devices do things differently with video playback and autoplay that does or doesn't work, and different, bit rates and things. It's just to have a platform like, especially if it's not your focus, if your focus is just delivering video content to the internet for people to consume, and like if you want to have some control over it, obviously if you don't care too much, you'd put it on YouTube or whatever else and just link to YouTube directly. But if you're wanting to present stuff on your own website, then yeah, something like this is great. Even like their paid plan at $25 a month is pretty reasonable, and that allows you to customize the player as well. Clickable video CTAs, which is I assume is what you're doing. So
yeah, yep. I mean, it's really, there's a whole suite of things you can do. And if you get into like their features, they've got, I mean, even if you go to wistia.com, they've also got really novel uses of video throughout their whole site, obviously, right? That's what they're selling. And so if you look through their stuff, there's some really cool things that you can do, or that, that are just like sort of inspiration things. I think for me, what it is too is I'm hoping to get something that it's going to make them pause on the page.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, what are the things that hook my attention? Well, currently, right now, like a great way to hook my attention is something that looks like a short.
Mhm.
Everybody's pushing this concept. I think we were just talking. I was just listening. I think Aaron and Ian were just talking about this. How like YouTube is pushing shorts. Like, when you go to their Apple TV official app, and like shorts are at the very top. Like
Yeah.
people recognize that whether it's TikTok or whether it's
Mm.
Instagram or whether it's Threads, whatever, right?
Yeah,
The
everyone wants a
quick
30-second
content.
clip of something.
Yeah, correct. Nobody wants a minute and a half video. Nobody wants a
Yeah.
minute video. They just want something quick, and sort of appealing to that same aesthetic, giving a differently shaped video that's auto playing, hooking into that, I think is a great way to sort of utilize or sort of hack the attention of those users, because that's what they're used to already, right? So when reading an article not too long ago about web patterns, they were like, don't reinvent the wheel. Like, look at what Amazon is doing. They've spent millions of dollars in research to figure out the best way to do this. Just borrow what they're already doing, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the same idea. Like, people have already figured this out. This autoplay thing really captures people's attention, and they already know, they've already been trained to click on the video if they want to watch the rest of it.
Yeah.
Utilize it, hack that thing, right? Grab their attention that way. So
yeah, there are certain things that, like, you look at these giant companies and you shouldn't do. Obviously you don't need Amazon scale infrastructure for your 50 viewer month blog or anything like that. But in terms of this kind of stuff where they've invested tons of time and money to figure out what people are actually clicking on, because what they want is for people to click on stuff, then those are the kinds of things that you can leverage. I will say that, like, I hate seeing YouTube shorts on my TV, because if I'm opening my TV, like, I want to watch something on the big screen. I don't want to watch a vertical resolution short on my TV. So but it's definitely interesting. I like those little testimonial type things. We should use that for something in the future.
Maybe for Laracon.
Maybe for Laracon.
Do you want to talk about Laracon real quick before I jump into either of my other two topics? Yeah, all right.
Well,
let's do that.
I'm
gonna grab my water. I'm gonna refill my water bottle while you do that.
Yeah, that's fine. So you and I, as part of Laravel News, like last year, you did with David Hemphill like a bit of a recap of day one. So I think you and I were going to try and do a day one, day two recap as a quote unquote official Laravel News thing. But then I think we're also going to look at wandering around and doing some vox pops, which is a Latin thing that I forget the full version of it. It's basically going around and catching people's opinions, and I'm sure Eric will get that edited up, because I don't want to do it, but I'm sure he'll do something with that where we take all these opinions from people, talk about the highlights, the reasons that you attend a conference, etc., and put them together into some content for Laravel News around the place. So if you see Jake and I wandering around with microphones at Laracon, Laracon in Denver, then you will know why. And yeah, we'll probably do some similar. Like, I just ran out of time to do it at Laracon AU last year, but I'd be keen to do that kind of thing as well, because it's nice to have the testimonials and things like that up on the website. For people that are on the fence or are trying to sell it to their employers and things like that. Why would I go to this thing? Some places are more difficult than others to sell it into. So, we definitely want to see what we can do with that kind of stuff as well, because it needs to be more than just my face on videos, I think.
Right. Yeah, they said that they're going to have like a green room at Laracon this year, sort of reserved for podcasting stuff. So I think that's a great idea. Cool. That was really cool. So should be fun times.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's coming up quick now. What are we? 10th of June, 9th of June. So we're only 6 or so weeks, 5-6 weeks away from me jumping on a plane for 72 hours of travel for a 48-hour stopover.
And right now,
I'm gonna be so tired.
Yeah, dude, you are going to be toast. You better just start getting sleep, banking sleep right now start banking it. 6 weeks from now.
I am Monday. I leave at like 6 a.m. here, fly to Sydney, then fly to Dallas to Denver, So I'll get to Dallas. I leave Sydney at 10 and I get to Dallas at 10:30 on Monday on the same day because time zones are lots of fun. And then I think I get in at like 3 p.m. on Monday Arvo to Denver. And then so I'm traveling with Aaron. So OG Aaron will be there with me.
It'll be
And
so
we'll
fun.
be there for unfortunately our return flight got changed. We're supposed to leave at like 5 p.m. or something like that on Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
and the flight
Yeah.
got brought forward to 11 a.m. So instead of having a day in
Ah,
Denver, we're going to have 8 hours to kick around LAX on the way back. So
no good.
that
No good.
that'll be interesting. But we might venture out to there's I think on the strip outside of the airport there's like Five Guys, Chick-fil-A, and In-N-Out Burger. I said let's just do all three of them. What's the worst that could happen?
Nice.
You know, with a
Absolutely. Yeah.
16-hour flight ahead of us and three different
Totally.
types of burger.
Yeah, that'll be glorious. I want to hear about that when you get back. Maybe like Laracon India from last year, right? Like just that
Ah,
we won't
yeah,
go into details. We won't go into details on that, but yeah.
no,
Yeah, no, dude, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time and Denver's a great place. Like there's a lot of fun stuff to do there and so I'm really excited for that too. I think that I heard that they might be doing a golf outing
yeah, some golfing
previous
on
to
Monday, yeah,
and
something
I'm
like
going to my
that. So,
first golf lesson tomorrow.
oh, you
True
can you
story.
get into it.
We we've been well, so my son and I have been golfing recently.
Hmm.
And so it's been super enjoyable, a lot of fun. And so we've both kind of caught the bug again. So there's a kid that we know who's a really decent golfer and he's like offering lessons this summer. He's got a scholarship at college to play. And so I'm like, heck, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I'm sure he'll help
Yeah,
me do some stuff better. And so, yeah, we're going to some lessons tomorrow, which should be fun. But I don't know. I might try and get in on that. The only problem is like I have to like ship my clubs there, you know? So
yeah.
maybe
I'm
they
sure
might
they'll
have
have
rentals though.
stuff.
I think they actually
Yeah,
have
they'll have
rentals.
rentals. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. We'll see.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah, no, I think I'll have to miss it just because it's too hard. Like this is the first time that I have been, obviously, since the kids were born. Well,
Yeah,
sorry, first time since New York in 2019. So Eli was like 1 year old then. So it's been a while, and I've got the leave pass, but it's like go and come back in as short a period of time as you can. So
for
yeah,
sure.
leave Monday, back Saturday because time zones again. So I miss all
Mm-hmm.
of Friday,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
fortunately, it is the week after Liv starts school, so I won't miss her first week, which is good. She
That
just
is
had her
good. Yeah.
second transition visit today, which she was a bit upset about. Like she didn't want to go. It was going to be too boring. It was going to be too long. And then she didn't want to leave when Ree went to pick her up. And then she didn't want to go back to kindy. She's like, "Can you pick me up at lunchtime?" We're like, "No, we're working. You've got to go and do that." So she's only got a few weeks of kindergarten left before she starts school, which is exciting. And um, yeah, it's a bit when you stop and think about it, it's like wow, that's just almost 5 years of her life are already just like blown by.
Yeah, dude, that's
And
wild.
it's Eli's birthday today. He turned 7, so it's just time flies, really. I said to him, walking him to school this morning, like, it feels like just yesterday we were bringing you home from the hospital, and here you are,
Yeah.
like halfway through your
Yep.
second year of school. So,
Yep. Big kids, man. If you do you know who Ben Rector is?
no,
He's a
no, I
he's a
don't think
he's a
so.
musician.
Okay.
Um, I picked up listening to Ben Rector. I don't know. The first time I heard any of his songs was probably like 15 or 16 years ago. I think I just sort of happened across it on Music Bed. David Hemphill
Hmm.
used to work there,
Oh,
and so
yeah. Hmm.
I was pulling a song for something, and I came across one of these songs. I was like, "Oh, this is really good." I don't know who this is. Ben Rector. I've never heard of him. I was like, "Just some indie artist or something out of Nashville." I'm not sure. And so as time went on, I sort of listened to a couple more of his things. But anyway, he's a dad now,
Hmm.
and his latest album is there's so much about like parenthood in there, and it's just a super good album. It's one of the best ones he's had, I think. And so um if you're looking
Check
for
it out.
something to get you to be reflective on how quick time is passing for your
Mm.
kids, definitely check out Ben Rector's latest album. It's super good, super
Yeah.
good. But yeah, I was listening to it in my car with my daughters on my way somewhere yesterday,
Hmm.
and I had to stop singing for a minute because I was like, oh boy, this is gonna get heavy. This is gonna get.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like thinking of my daughters while I was in the car, like the song. I was like, oh boy, all right, I just got to chill for a minute here. It's so good
Yeah.
though, so good, but very
It's
emotional. As like a parent, like listening to some of these things, it's like okay, because he hits the nail on the head in a couple spots where
yeah.
he's. I think one of his songs is called "Golden Days." Like these are the golden
Mhm.
days. Oh man, it's really
Mhm.
good. So, anyway, check it out definitely.
It's definitely funny as a parent the kinds of things that hit you that you like don't
Yes,
expect to
yeah,
hit you. Like we went, and when Liv did her first transition visit last week, we went and we met with like the principal and the vice principal, and they talked about the school and all of this kind of stuff. And we just did it as like a bit of a refresher because we've been there for a year already. But um, just talking about, because the school that we're in used to be considered a bit of like a poor school. It was like in a low socioeconomic area, didn't really get the funding. They were like considered average for schools like them, so within their group, they're like, hey, you're as shit as the other schools. So they didn't do anything. There was no, like, they didn't get any extra funding or any extra support or anything like that. And when the current principal came in, this was back in 2011, there was like 150 students in the school, and their focus was all around compliance rather than learning, and all of this kind of stuff. And over the last 14 years, to see the turnaround where it's now like a 500 person or 500 student school, where they effectively get their pick of, whichever teachers they want, they go and poach them. They're having to turn students away now because they're at capacity. They're building new classrooms and new buildings and things like that. And all of it's changed just because they're giving opportunities. And I'm sitting there and I'm like welling up, going, oh, it's just, like I said, you don't know what's going to set you off, but it's like
yeah,
there are these complete strangers to your children that you trust that they're going to set them up for life, to teach them how to read and write and do maths and all of this kind of stuff, but to support them as their own. Like, I
yeah,
sometimes, some
yeah,
days it's hard enough like supporting your own kids to the level
yeah,
that they need, because being a parent is hard work. But then to have these like complete strangers treat your children as their own children is just really, really heartening to see that there are people out there in the world that will go out of their way to look after kids and to do the right thing by them. So
yeah. It's like they adopt them for a year almost because
yeah,
in reality they end up spending more time with your kids than
more
you do.
time. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, truly,
yeah.
like more waking hours are spent with that teacher than are spent with
Mm-hmm.
you as their
Mm-hmm.
parent. And so, yeah, it's crucially important that you have those good teachers and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's incredible. Like we're so blessed to have people who have dedicated their lives to helping kids and
Mm-hmm.
families, right, and help
Yeah.
society, really, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
I don't
that's
know
super
how
cool.
people that homeschool their kids can do it, because I wouldn't know. And the stuff that they come home with, the way that they learn now and the way that they're taught now is very different to what it was when I was in school 30 years ago.
Sure. Yeah.
And Eli coming home and he's telling me about phonics and digraphs and like, did you know Y is like the sometimes vowel? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it was funny. Hear me actually,
Yeah.
as a former math teacher, you may know this. He came and like they're learning addition and subtraction, and he always writes everything left to right. And I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
want to get in his way. I don't want to confuse him, right? However he's learning is what I want to try and support him to learn. Because when I did it, it was like, addition, subtraction, top to
Yeah.
bottom.
Yep.
You
Right to
work
left.
right to
Yeah.
left, you carry the
Yeah.
numbers and all
Exactly.
that kind of stuff. And he says to me, he goes, no, this is how we do it now. There's like the make 10 strategy or something, where you like get the numbers and
Okay.
figure it out how to get to 10. He goes, in the olden days, they used to call it rainbow facts. And I looked at Ree and I said, what do you mean the olden days? Like, I don't know what rainbow facts is. That was never anything I learned. Like, this is,
No.
so now we're like 2 generations removed from what is
Ah.
current teaching. It's like,
So
not like two.
we're like the olden days.
We're like the great great parents of this whatever it was that we were
Oh,
taught,
that's
because that's,
hilarious.
and it's not generations as in like my generation and my kids, but like generations of learning. These things seem to cycle every 7 or 8 years. So like they did
Yeah,
this, and I said when I was in school, it was like, this is the word, this is how you say it, and you just memorize that, and then you move on
that's
to the
right.
next thing.
Yeah,
Whereas now they give them the tools to like break down the sounds and recognize the patterns and all of this kind of stuff, so that you can give Eli a word that he's never seen before, and he can sound out, and he
Figured
breaks it
out.
down into the
Yeah.
pieces, and he knows. Like, we gave him his birthday card this morning, and Ree and I each wrote a message in there, and he opens it. He goes, "Oh, that's a lot of words." I said, "Did you want to read it yourself, or do you want me to help you out?" He goes, "No, I can read it myself. I can read it in my head." And just watching him and watching his head go, and like, and his little smile is when he read something that tickled him, and
Oh,
it was
that's
just like,
so funny.
and it was just like,
He's a
wow,
little
you know,
human.
he's a little
He's a little
human that can
person.
like, yeah. And then like every now and then he like loses his marbles and throws something across the room and runs off screaming. So it's like he gets all these, and it's funny because they're like, you know, before it was like, oh, he's having a tantrum. Now it's like he's having a moment of dysregulation. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever it is.
Oh, that's
Okay.
great.
So he
Yeah,
takes
man.
himself to his bedroom now and just calms himself
There
down,
you
which
go.
is nice because before it used to be just like flinging things across the family room, and
Progress. We're
and
making
I
progress.
there was fear for our television on a number of
Mm-hmm.
occasions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't throw anything towards the TV, please.
Yep. Yep. Well, that's great, dude. And they just continue to get bigger. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
You got to see Graham before we started the show.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
he's an adult, man. He's
He looks like
huge.
you, but he's huge. Yeah, he's a
He
blonde Jake.
is. Yeah, and I don't know. He's
But
a
he's got
great
your
kid. And
face.
so
But he's got Laura's hair.
yeah, yep. He's a better looking Jake Bennett. So it's funny. He's the kid I wanted to look like when I was a kid. I always wanted blonde
Mm-hmm.
hair. You know what I mean? And to be athletic and like, whatever. He's that person. So anyway, he's a cool kid. Well, dude, I think I've got these other topics queued up for next time. We had talked
Yeah.
about really trying to have a little bit more continuity between the shows. So I'll tell you folks what we're looking at for next time. So a couple items, defensive programming and anticipating breakages. Where am I going to miss? So I was watching, because we're getting into golf. I was watching this clip. Tiger Woods was in the rough and he was trying to hit onto the green, right? And so he's looking down the fairway and he's like, okay, so he's like, I know this is kind of what, I know what club I need to hit to get there. But he's like, now I have to figure out where I'm going to aim. And he's like, because I'm hitting out of the rough, I'm not going to be precise in where I'm going to hit. So I have to pick where it's going to be least harmful when I miss. I have to pick my miss. Like if I miss on the right side, there's a bunkers over there. If I miss on the left side, I've got a wide open green. There's a little bit of rough over there, but it's going to be a much better miss on that side. Right. So it's trying to anticipate where in my programming do I want to miss? Where are the things where, like, if I'm going to mess up, if somebody's going to abuse this thing, how do I want to sort of like direct it so that the exception has the least damage to me or to the business? So you're never going to get perfect, and you're never going to be able to anticipate all of the things that are going to happen in your programming. It's just not. And I'll share an example next time where it's like, that is so freaking bizarre. How did you ever think that was how the tool was supposed to be used? But I didn't think about where is the miss. So what ended up happening is we deleted a bunch of stuff that was actually crucial, and ending up, we're going to end up having to have two people redo a month worth of work, literally a month worth of work. It's brutal. It's brutal because I did not think about this sort of like contingency plan. Anyway, we're going to talk about that a little bit next time. And then also, when you're not using a static set generator, you're using Laravel, where do you store values that you want to chuck into something where you have a bunch of pages that are the same but need small variants? So is it a YAML file? Is it a database that then gets pushed down into static pages? Do you just put it into the view? Do you put it in the controller? Do you put it in the config? Where do you put it, right? Do you generate DTOs that all have them and you just store it in your code? Where do you put it? So those are some things we'll talk about next time, and I have some fun ideas for that. So
Nice.
Cue them up for next time, friends.
Also, a quick seed as well. I have just embarked upon deleting the tenancy package from our application.
Ooh,
we have finally moved all of the other pieces so that we don't need multiple tenants anymore. So it's now a process of, step one was just to remove the package from Composer and then work through the tests and see what's breaking. So it's a slow going thing. Someone will probably tell me I can use AI for it, which I won't do, but duly noted. It's going all right. Having a better grasp of like parallel testing now and multiple database connections and just like making life easier for myself, and also like hopefully improving the speed of our tests will be a good side effect of doing this. So yeah, to be continued in future episodes.
To be continued. Well, folks, Episode 178. Is that right, Michael? Did I get it right?
I don't know. I wrote it up here. 177, I think. 177.
Ooh, 177. Folks, this was episode 177. Find show notes for this episode at northmeetsouth.audio/177. If you'd like to hit us up on Twitter or on X or on Blue Sky, hit us up at Michael Dorinda, at Jacob Bennett, or at North South Audio. And of course, if you liked the show, we'd really appreciate it if you'd rate us up in your podcatcher of choice. 5 stars would be incredible, amazing, and awesome. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We love hearing from you, honestly. I would love to get any feedback on any of these items. Wistia, if you thought Wistia was a cool idea, you should definitely let us know. What are your opinions on liquid glass and iPhones and the new designs that are coming out? And then tune in next time to hear about some of those other cool things we'll talk about in 2 weeks. We'll see you then, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.